So today, on my first video ever for YouTube, we're gonna do fire roasted salsa. This is a recipe I've come up with just this year. I haven't seen anything like it. It's harvest season for most of us, so I wanted to get it out. I haven't bought a camera yet or a tripod or anything for YouTube, but I hope you get some enjoyment out of this video. Ratios for what we've got going on here. This is a 28 quart stock pot. I go about 2/3 tomatoes and then split the remaining with onions and jalapenos. It takes about a cup of cilantro, half cup of cilantro, I'm sorry, and about a cup of olive oil. And I roll it around in the olive oil for a little while. This ratio can be adjusted for size. I have a fairly large garden, and I could stand to use a bigger fire. Speaking of which, right now I'm just using the firebox on my smoker. I don't want to use the smoker itself for the fire because I don't want it to rust out. I'll adjust in the future. This is 2 full heads of garlic and a little bit of olive oil sitting on the fire. The reason I'm not roasting any of the vegetables yet is because the fire's not ready. I don't want too much smoke flavor in the tomatoes and the onions and the peppers. To adjust the recipe, it doesn't really matter what size pot you use. This is a 28 quart pot, so if you used an 8 quart pot, you do the same ratio, 2/3 tomatoes, the remaining with jalapenos and onions, and then you would adjust mathematically, and I don't know the math right off the bat, for the half cup of cilantro and the full cup of olive oil. And obviously, as a salsa, there's a lot of room for adjustment in every ingredient. The amount of jalapenos I use produces about a medium heat salsa. I'm a big fan of this recipe, and so has everybody I've shared it with. So that's why I decided to share this online. I'll use these tongs. I'll put the vegetables directly on the fire. When they soften up, the peppers won't soften up, the onions won't soften up, they'll just get a char. But when the tomatoes soften up, they go into these pots here. Once it's all cooked, I take it inside, I'll let it strain. Let the juices run off the tomatoes, or else you'll have a watery salsa. And then I run it through the food processor and then through the canner. We will be back when the fire's ready. Okay, so we have the fire right, and I just wanted to show you, we're not taking the skins off of the tomatoes in this recipe. I'm sure you could if you wanted. You could blanch them, throw them in ice, take the skins off, and then grill them. I have no complaints about the salsa, and neither has anybody else with the skins on, and it makes it a much easier process. So I wanted to show you, this is about what the tomato looks like when it's done. It's softer, charred on the outside. Goes in the pot. I'm going to pull this garlic right about now and throw it in the pot. I also wanted to discuss the types of tomatoes. You could do this recipe with any type of tomato. I'm using what my garden's producing because it's producing faster than then I could feasibly use fresh tomatoes. And I have a mixture of everything: Cherokee purples, pink brandywines, Romas, San Mars, and Oxheart tomatoes. I will say that since I found this recipe, I've decided that the Oxheart tomato, I don't core my Romas and San Mars. And that's convenient because all I have to do is rinse them and pop the stem off and throw it in the pot. But the Oxhearts produce prolifically, at least in my area, and they're a big meaty tomato, great for sauce. So I will be planting more of the Oxhearts. They did really well producing this year. Not a lot of disease. Very prolific, very big, very meaty. I'm going to do a lot more of those in the future for this recipe. So while we're waiting for the vegetables to cook, I figured I'd give you a little backstory. I started gardening. I gardened my entire adult life. At some point in my mid-20s, I got chickens, and most of you probably know what that means. I started down the homesteading path. I decided to start a YouTube channel because I've learned a lot, and I know that other people out there are starting the same journey I started 20 years ago. And if I could trade my knowledge that I've gained over the last 20 years for maybe some ad revenue or whatever it may be to help me with some of the projects on my homestead, then why not? So that's why I'm here, and that's why I'm sharing. Upcoming videos, I have a couple of great pickle recipes, and one of them in particular, Heinz used to make a genuine sour dill pickle, and nobody can nail down a copycat recipe, but I have one. So that'll be upcoming. I want to wait until I get a camera. I still want to kind of do it during harvest season, so hopefully that works out. Hopefully you enjoy it. I have a great garlic dill pickle recipe. There's many other things. For instance, growing mushrooms on logs, or grapes, or letting pumpkins go insane, or whatever this is. I started beekeeping a few years back. I've realized that all of the information on the internet is from commercial beekeepers. I'm a backyard beekeeper. My maximum amount of colonies that I want to attend is 10. I built this to breed queens in so that I can requeen every year. I would like to share my knowledge in regards to what it takes if you're not going commercial, if it's a hobby, for a hobby beekeeper. Because I wasted a lot of time and money following the recommendations of the commercial guys. So there will be an upcoming video on that as well. And I apologize about the overgrown everything. But the garden's full tilt. That's the garden down there, roughly 100 by 100. And it's almost a full-time job this time of year to keep up with it. Just to show you again what we're looking for in the vegetables. The onions and the peppers, we're looking for char very similar to what you see here. For the tomatoes, very similar to what you see on the Roma, the peeling skin. Obviously getting soft, same with that one in the corner. And for the fire, we're looking for these hot coals, flames, but very little smoke. We don't want to overwhelm our salsa with the smoke flavor. It won't taste good. Okay, everybody, we're in the kitchen. This is what it looks like off of the grill. This is not necessary, but that's a jar I use to throw scraps in for the compost, and I collect the juice as well because there's got to be good stuff in there. So, anyways, we're still cooking outside. This is a long process. I'm gonna pour some in here, fill this strainer up, and I'll probably let it sit for a half hour or so before I put it in the food processor and chop it up a bit to make it into salsa. I don't know how you complete this process without a food processor. You could probably use a blender or an immersion blender. It would be a smoother product in the end, but I imagine the taste would be the same. So that's where we're at now. We're still cooking outside, and I'm going to start the straining process. This right here is a hint to one of my pickle recipes. All right, everybody, here we go. Using a slotted spoon, moving the vegetables from the strainer to the food processor. Again, I apologize about the poor quality of the video. I don't have any YouTube type equipment. So here we go with the food processor. Apologize for the poor lighting. A kitchen remodel is on the list. I don't want to go too crazy with it. I like my salsa chunky. Also, you can do whatever consistency you like. And the longer it sits in the jars, the more the flavors will meld, I guess. And even if you were to bite into a big chunk of garlic or onion, it would taste like the salsa and not particularly the vegetable that you're eating. I think that's good enough for me. Oh, there's some chunks in there though. I'll give it one more whirl. I think that's it. I'll see you in the canning process. Hi YouTube, it is the next day. I did not finish yesterday. I did, however, add salt and mix that in, and I just wanted to talk about that real quick. So 28 quart stock pot is what I started with full of tomatoes, peppers, onions. I added around 3/4 cup of salt. So if you were to do an 8 quart stock pot with the same ratio, you'd be looking at around 1/4 cup of salt. And like I said before, there's a lot of room for variations with salsa. If you want less salt, you could certainly add the salt, mix it in, and taste and see what you like. Keep in mind that the reason I left this salsa overnight, and if the stock pot will fit in the fridge, it's probably better to do it that way. But because there's no way of telling how many chunks of garlic or chunks of onion make it into each particular jar, me leaving the salsa sit and mixing it from time to time will help meld those flavors together so that the jars all taste relatively the same. So I got the water bath canner going. The 28 quart stock pot's gonna make me anywhere between 8 and 10 quarts. When I was using a 24 quart stock pot, it seemed to be making 16 pints or 8 quarts. And the math will math depending on what you're using. So that's pretty much it. It's getting ready to go into the water bath canner for 20 minutes, and that'll be it.